Not all deaths during the First World War were directly related to enemy activity. Throughout the Great War, there were several instances of mishaps and accidents that led to harm, fatalities, or property damage. Even today, it's strange that the accident that may have had the greatest impact is also the one that is least well known. The worldwide, but American-based, Organization Committee for Relief in Belgium had hired the Norwegian cargo ship the SS Emo, built in 1889, with the goal of transporting goods from the USA to Belgium as part of the effort to bring relief to Belgium. She sailed empty from Holland to New York and arrived for inspection in Halifax, Nova Scotia, where she was held for a few days on December 3, 1917. The French tramp steamer SS Mont Blanc was sailing toward Halifax on Thursday, December 6. She was a relatively young ship, having been launched in 1899, and had been purchased by the Compagnie Générale Transatlantique, a French state-owned company in charge of the majority of France's maritime needs during the war. The Mont Blanc was sailing from New York with a deadly cargo of military explosives heading for France, including TNT, picric acid, benzol, and guncotton. The Emo sailed through the Narrows after leaving Halifax Harbour's Bedford Basin in search of free water. However, due to other traffic and in violation of the rules, it did so on the port, left, rather than the starboard, right, side of the Narrows. The Emo forced the Stella Maris tug to move closer to the beach in order to prevent collision since it was moving at 7 knots, which, albeit slow, was beyond the 5-knot speed limit. In the meantime, the Mont Blanc had undergone inspection and received a pilot board. The ship was given permission to pass through the Narrows and go toward the Bedford Basin at 7 in the morning. She noticed the Emo arriving in her lane while she was traveling at 4 knots and in the proper lane. At the time of the crash, the Stella Maris, commanded by Captain Horatio Brannan, was pulling a line of barges. She instantly responded to the fire and started spraying water down the Mont Blanc with her hoses. HMCS Niobe, a decommissioned cruiser that was permanently moored in the dockyard to serve as a depot and training ship, was one of the ships in the harbor. Following the collision, the captain of the Niobe dispatched his steam pinnace with 6 volunteers to aid the stranded ship, Petty Officer/Stoker Edward Beard and 5 seamen, all under the command of Acting Boatswain Albert Madison. The captain of the HMS Highflyer dispatched his whaler with Commander Tom Triggs and 6 sailors at the same time Niobe's steam pinnace was making its way to Mont Blanc to see if anything could be done. Triggs made the decision to board the tug Stella Maris in order to speak with her captain as he approached the Mont Blanc, which was now enveloped in flames. Triggs, aboard the whaler, was drawing into the Emo after a brief discussion and after leaving the crews of the tug and Niobe's pinnace to deal with the Mont Blanc. When the inevitable occurred, the Mont Blanc detonated. Just 20 minutes had passed since the crash at 9:05 a.m. Only able seaman William Becker survived on the Highflyer's whaler after the explosion's impact shattered the steam pinnacle of Niobe and killed its crew. The explosion was the biggest pre-atomic explosion ever recorded. The Mont Blanc was thrown 1,000 feet into the air, with some pieces falling from a distance of more than 3 miles. The water in the harbor evaporated, and the oncoming wave created a 60-foot-tall tsunami that surged into Halifax. Every house and industry within a 16-mile radius of the explosion were destroyed or damaged, for a total of 12,000 buildings, and the explosion's cloud soared above 20,000 feet. Nearly 1,500 people in Halifax died quickly, and it's likely that over 9,000 more were hurt. Captain Horatio Brannan and 18 other crew members of the Stella Maris were among those who perished. Only 5 people escaped. The ship washed up on the shore. Many additional sailors who had been on board ships in the harbor and had been seeing the unfolding drama together with the Emo's crew were also slain. The destruction was severe on land. The sole survivor of Canada's first motorized fire engine, the Patricia, can provide an eyewitness account. At the time of the explosion, driver Billy Wells was activating a fire hydrant. In his account of the day's activities published in the Mail Star on October 6, 1967, he said, "That's when it happened. The first thing I remember after the explosion was standing quite a distance from the fire engine. The force of the explosion had blown off all my clothes as well as the muscles from my right arm." Before continuing, also find out why a concert turned into a tragedy and killed young men and women. Link is in the description. Badly injured, Billy was then nearly drowned as the tsunami came over him. He explained, After the wave had receded, I didn't see anything of the other firemen, so made my way to the old magazine on Campbell Road. The sight was awful. With people hanging out of windows dead. Some with their heads off, and some thrown onto the overhead telegraph wires. I was taken to Camp Hill Hospital and lay on the floor for 2 days waiting for a bed. The doctors and nurses certainly gave me great service. In aftermath, a Norwegian sailor on the Emo was detained because he was believed to be German during a period when it was considered that German spies were responsible for the explosion. Despite being accused of manslaughter, the captain of the Mont Blanc was found not guilty after a jury trial. The Emo and Mont Blanc were found to be equally responsible for the disaster in 1919, according to the Supreme Court of Canada. Before continuing, also find out why a concert turned into a tragedy and killed young men and women. Link is in the description.